Okay, I'm just going to start over again so I can upload the other videos. I'm going to be running out of daylight here, so this setup I have does not work very good at all for night driving, and my HID lights on the front haven't been working for probably a good year and a half. I haven't dug into them. I got new bulbs and new actual igniters, but they were having some little goofy traits. I got a feeling it's a loose wire somewhere. So my problem is if there's not just a smoking gun failure, I hate messing with something because I'd rather wait till it starts working and then make it fail so I can track down the problem. Well, that's not the case right now because one day they worked, one day they didn't. So I did a little bit of looking around and trying to diagnose it, but I lost enthusiasm or something. So this is definitely the bike tracks from the two guys that I saw earlier, because these are distinct tracks from two larger CC bikes. So I got a feeling this is going to take us to where they hit pay dirt. Ooh. Wow. Let's see. What are we going to do here? I definitely got to scope this one out. So yeah, these are the things he was telling me about. I don't know if I can get another video with my phone, if I can prop it somewhere. I'll try and get a video of me going through this. So more than likely won't do it justice, but at least I have some footage of what I'm going through. Alright, I'll look at that later when there's nothing exciting happening. So this is the part where the little smudges from the last couple places I had my suction cup connected are going to start becoming an issue. That should be a little better. Nice to be able to get the sunset. Well, actually it's just overcast. Looks like we have almost exactly an hour of sunlight. It's a trick you can do if you take your fingers, and I'm not gonna be able to show you because the windshield's in the way, but if you take your fingers, let's see if I can do it, and go between where the sun, yeah, see, it won't work, but you take and hold your hand up like you're gonna block the sun with your hand, back of your hand, and you place your pinky at the very edge of the horizon, as far out as you can see, basically. And then the sun is, if the sun's above your index finger, if it's just right there above your index finger, each finger is equivalent to 15 minutes of daylight. And I've tried this and it works flawlessly. So you can use your hand, not really as a sundial, it doesn't tell you what time it is, it just tells you how long before the sun is going to fall behind the horizon. And it works everywhere because right now we're in the mountains, we're down in a valley, and so the sunrise is going to be different for us where we're at right now, you know, you guys hanging out with me, than it would be if we were out in a flat, barren desert with no mountains, no hills. There's not going to be anything blocking the sun. Because like right now, I've gone around the back of a mountain and a canyon, and now the sun is technically has set. But of course, when we come around the turns and end up on the other side of the mountain, we're gonna have the sunrise again. It's gonna pop out from behind the mountains. So that's just a little trick, little survival technique, or just even a fun thing that you hold your hand up in front of you like you're blocking the light with your thumb up in the air, your fingers horizontal to, you know, the horizon, and if the sun's really high above your fingers, then you stack your other hand, the opposite hand, you hold it, you bring them both together, kind of like you're going to hug somebody with your palms, you know, so you don't touch them because maybe they got a case of the stinkies or something. But and if obviously if it's noon, high noon, you're not going to have enough hands. But if you have 4 fingers from the horizon to where the sun is, you know you have 2 hours. And you can take and just hold your hands and just kind of trade positions with them and go up 3 or 4 hours. Or if you have 4 or 5 hands, you're a freak. But or you're a monkey. So, and I'm scared to shit of chimpanzees and monkeys because they can kill you. They will eat your face. But so they won't go off-roading with me. You guys can, but no monkeys, no chimps, no apes. Maybe orangutan. They seem sweet, but they'll throw crap at you anyway. So I got enough crap thrown at me at work. So that's just a quick little idea of how long we have. It looks like I actually have a little over an hour of daylight from where I'm right now, but of course I'm higher in the air, and here we're going through some little bit of gnarly stuff. This is actually rock. It's weird the way, is this rock? I don't know. Anyways, we're doing some rock crawling here. I'd love to put my phone down somewhere so you could see me go through this, but there's quite a bit of it, and I'd have to take a little bit of a hike to get to where I would put. Well, okay, you talked me into it. I'm only 10 minutes in. I can probably edit this stuff out. I'm going to back up through this gnarly stuff and put my phone down there again so you can see. I don't know what the other video looked like because I'm not going to waste my time trying to review it while I'm still videoing. I guess it would help if I was in. Yeah. That was weird. Yeah, I made a noise. Oh, I didn't make a noise. noises, but it sounded like a hub cracking, but I don't have locking hubs on this, so the kind of pucker factor was a little bit much more than I expected because that noise. But I don't have locking hubs. The only thing I could do is spin a stub shaft, and I didn't see a pin broken or a bolt loose or a U-joint split. So, but I hope that came out pretty good video-wise, because pretty soon I'm not going to have enough daylight to video anything, and I'll be able to just beat feet back to the pavement. I've still got well over a quarter tank of gas, so I'm not too worried. I got water, I got food, it's starting to cool down. I do have a couple more of these kind of wash deals to go through, but they don't seem too ridiculous. That last one I actually intentionally went through a more difficult line than was necessary, which isn't that responsible considering I'm by myself, but I don't bonsai through stuff or bind up my drivetrain excessively. And I got a stock motor and an automatic, and I do this thing which is kind of, I call brake loading, is I'll either hold the parking brake or hold the foot brake while I'm kind of rock crawling, if you will, or going through something that binds up. That way, if one of my wheels loses traction and then regains traction suddenly, I don't have a drivetrain lash which snaps parts. Even with a stock engine, you can definitely in low gear with a compound low, such as a torque converter going through low range and a transmission, especially with a straight six. These motors aren't known for horsepower at all. They are not a race car, but torque wise, it's basically like a dump truck motor in a station wagon. You won't win any races on the flat ground or asphalt. You can definitely outpull just about anything that's on the road that isn't the same vehicle. But I don't recommend videoing with your phone either. Maybe a GoPro or some type of sports type camera, because I know where my tires are, and I've been rock crawling a better part of my adult life. I've been off-roading ever since I was a kid, and I do understand the advantages and benefits of knowing where your tires are. If you're driving through an area that has obstacles and holes and rocks and just different types of terrain you have to go over, that's extremely beneficial. The other time it's beneficial, let's say you're driving down the highway and a lawn chair or a big rock or a 2x4 or even a pile of 2x4s falls out of a truck either in front of you and you see it happen, or if you're hopefully not following too close behind a vehicle in front of you, they might have gone over and straddled it ahead of time, and then you have to know, okay, is the bottom of my car going to hit this thing? If it's not, then regardless, you're going to try and at least swerve it and get your tires over. There's a video on YouTube of impatient drivers and tailgaters, and there's this guy just riding somebody's butt in a Jeep. Actually, the guy driving the vehicle being tailgated is a Jeep. The guy who's riding his butt and tailgating him is like in a Scion or some small car, and the guy just happened to have trail cameras. He had a dash cam on the front and a trail camera on the back, or technically a dash cam, but it was mounted either in his rear window or on his spare tire. Well, what happens is this guy's riding his butt, and up in front of him, let's learn how to spoke, a ladder, an aluminum ladder or fiberglass ladder, I don't remember which, had fallen or falls out of the back of a truck. Well, when you're gonna swerve an obstacle, you're best to check all your corners, all your mirrors. You should be checking them on a regular basis. I've taught people to drive throughout my life. Not a driving instructor, just helping people get their license and teach them how to drive. And you should always be checking your mirrors, both side mirrors, the rear view mirror, all potential blind spots, so that you'll know what is in that blind spot once that blind spot has become a blind spot for the obstacle or vehicle or motorcycle. That's kind of what rock crawling is. You look ahead to see what's in front of you on the terrain, and you have to keep a mental image of what you're going to drive over, because it's going to be under your vehicle. So the reason I'm telling you this is that this video shows a split screen, guy's driving down the road, there's a ladder in front. He probably takes a quick glance in his mirrors, waits to the last second, and swerves. Well, the guy who's behind him is so close that when he goes over, the guy in the Jeep went over the ladder. He cleared it. It was laying lengthwise in the middle of the lane. Probably from another car's already hit it or straddled it or whatever, or that's just where it came to rest after sliding. Well, the guy behind him didn't see the ladder because he's right up on this Jeep's ass, and the rear-facing camera gets to get the exciting view of this little car ending up hitting the ladder, driving up on the ladder partially with one of its front wheels, and then him slamming the brakes. Well, now he's using the ladder as a boogie board or a snowboard going down the freeway. So he's skidding all over the place, and even when he finally lets off the gas to try and, regain his composure, it's too late because it's jammed up under his quarter panel, rocker panel, suspension, what have you. So there's one of those karma videos, and when I say this, when you go off-roading and you decide, hey, I'm going to take a cool video of me driving over my phone or my GoPro or something, just be careful that you don't drive over it with your tire, because when I went over those obstacles, I had to consider where the camera was, because I was going to drive over it so you could see the bottom of the truck. Just kind of looks cool. But if at any given time, if you have any doubts about your capacity or talent, don't do it, because if that's your only phone and that's your only connection to the outside world, and you're already off-roading, which is a gamble in itself, just the same as jumping out of an airplane, you've got to know your limits. If you screw up the only connection you have to the outside world, for one, you're going to be all bummed and pissed off for the rest of your little jaunt, and you might be distracted enough and upset that you're just like, oh, well, I got to get to the Apple store, or I got to get to Verizon and get a new phone. Well, you might get in an accident, or you might get stuck, or you might break something like I thought I did just a little bit ago. Now I know where I'm at, and this is good because I still have well over a quarter tank of gas. We're at about 24 minutes on this video. I think I'm technically going the wrong way to go out, but I've got enough fuel and I know where I'm at, and I just want to get as much video as I can since it's gotten a little more exciting. But keep in mind, whatever technical equipment, video stuff you have, it's my fault and my gamble that I'm using one of my phones. Now, granted, I do have two phones with me, so it's not that I'm not thinking ahead. I do have my work phone in my pocket, which is a regular analog phone, which I do believe I could run over on dirt or sand and it wouldn't kill it. The smartphone, if I had to lean against a rock with the lens against the rock. And Verizon has this stupid policy now that you even have to log on and do all this verification stuff just to get a new screensaver, which I'm entitled to getting a screensaver for the lifetime of my phone. And now I have to sit around. I'm just goofing around the sand hill. So, ooh, that is kind of slippery. Yeah, it's weird. There's just a big pile of, not pile, but a filled in area. Oh yeah, I could sink in that if I wanted to. I'm just going in to get a screensaver, and they have me there for 15 or 20 minutes trying to get me to log on to Verizon to, I don't know, probably talk me into taking on another contract or something. So I'm using my phone, my regular personal phone, which both of them are mine. It's my business that I own. So I have two phones, just because if one phone fails or I break it by running it over out in the middle of nowhere, I have the other phone as a backup. Or if just one phone goes dead and I still need to be able to talk to somebody. Or I've been on the phone all day long and had one of my phones go completely dead just from use. And it won't even take a charge quick enough for me to do anything with it. And of course, if I'm not in a vehicle or near a wall outlet, I can't charge a phone anyways. So just keep in mind, everything you bring with you when you go out to go off-roading and play and maybe documents and stuff, make sure you don't risk, you're gonna risk damaging stuff anyways, but don't risk your sole necessity of getting contact with someone to help you in case something happens, because you very well might get lost. You might end up on a trail that's so messed up that in the daylight it was fine, I could do this, but at night contrast and dimensions and distances are dramatically impaired, and your judgment is definitely worse the more concerned you get about your safety, or even if you go off-road and just before you need to go to work or some appointment you have. If you start to get stuck, if you get lost, you're going to start getting upset, you're going to start getting concerned, you're not going to make good decisions. You have to concentrate on the task at hand, which is to get yourself not only from point A to point B, because point B is usually not your destination when you're off-roading. You want to make sure you can get back to point A, which is where the rubber meets the road. Which is usually some of the best trails out there are not ones that actually take you from one place on the asphalt to another place on the asphalt with the dirt and rocks and mud in between. Some of them are a loop where you end up going up something crazy that nobody can get to, and they can't even go past the end. So you go as far as you can, turn around, come back. So your main goal might be just to get back to point A, especially if you break something. Just like people, if you've ever heard in any type of like survival training, is if you're tracking somebody to find somebody to save them, and you know they're injured, or there's a possibility that they're injured or impoverished by food, water, the elements, you can tell by following a person's footsteps in the dirt and the sand, through the weeds, whether they're walking, stumbling, dragging their feet, or dragging themselves. And the injured don't go uphill. If somebody is shot, if somebody has a broken leg, even a broken arm, and they're bleeding, a compound fracture without bleeding, just where you got bones sticking out and you've been able to protect the wound, you've got a fever probably going to start, you've got an infection that's on its way through, and you've got the adrenaline wearing off from when you originally got hurt to now you're settling into the pain and the chaos that your body is going through because you're injured. The same thing with a vehicle. A person who is injured will normally not go uphill if they don't need to try and find themselves to safety. A vehicle that's injured is not going to go uphill as good as it's going to go downhill. I could break both front half shafts, stub shafts, U-joints. I could break one of the rear axles. And this trail right now I'm at, which we're going downhill a little bit, I've got a limited slip in the rear. It's not the strongest limited slip, but as long as I got one-wheel drive in the rear, I could continue to travel on level ground, slight inclines, but downhill I could drive down even without the engine running. So those things you have to take in consideration too. If you lose the ability to contact the outside world, there's nobody from outside that's going to be looking for you unless, for one, they know where you're at, two, they know what you're doing, and three, they know when you're supposed to be back. So there are people that know what I'm doing, there are people that know where I'm at, and I'm not lost. And from the point I'm at right now, I could technically walk out if I had to. At night, I don't know if I would bother or not. It's a lot cooler at night. I could probably travel further. I've got plenty of food I can carry with me. Nobody's going to see me in the daylight. Now, am I fear of succumbing to the elements? No. Or I wouldn't try and walk out. If you think you can walk out, don't do it. If you know you can walk out, still think about it. Unless you know 100% for sure that you can walk out without getting lost, without running into any pitfalls or issues, then consider walking out. Otherwise, stay with your vehicle. I got the second gear. Trying to do a donut. I'm actually just making sure there's nothing wrong with my stub shafts and axles, because no, basically, just consider your environment, considering your circumstances. Definitely consider your ability before doing anything that may or may not be out of your comfort zone. Because a lot of people get impatient and want to go home. They just want to go home. And there's only a few things you can do out in the boonies that's going to save your ass once you put your ass in danger. So that and all other things considered, just watch yourself, be careful. I'm saying this because I'm doing a video, doing a lot of goofy stuff that I don't need to be doing. This is what I enjoy. Just like you don't need to jump out of an airplane. Just like you don't need to eat this what is it, this puffer fish that they eat in the Orient, that's supposed to be, if it's too poisonous or something, you'd eat it wrong, you die, but if you don't die, then the spirits are with you and you're indestructible. No thank you. I'll stick to off-roading. I know what I'm doing, but don't follow what I do because you see me doing it. Do what you know to do and practice. Learn your limitations. Respect your limitations. And slower is always faster. Well, thanks for watching. I'm not going to be able to really record the rest of this trip because it's going to be dark. And I know the rest of the trail. If I see something really exciting or want to document before the sun actually goes down, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'll be editing and uploading just to save my visions to get rid of all my exhibitions. Thanks for watching. Bye.